What are you telling me? I can charge you for all day. That is the lineup at the concierge desk here at the hotel. People are waiting for hours and hours and hours. Obviously, a whole bunch of flights have been canceled. There is a massive, massive backlog at the airport, and as you can see, there were dozens and dozens of people there waiting in line for hours and hours.
Inner wars were going to start. The unstableness of Mexico was going to demonstrate this is what is actually happening. Now, let's see how the federal government is going to come and protect the Mexican citizens and also the international citizens, not only American citizens. That we have a huge presence on tourist areas, but like Tijuana, it is one of the most transit cities in the world in terms to coming back and forth for American citizens. We got hundreds of thousands of them that they are concerned right now. The whole city right now, Steve, let me tell you, Tijuana is a ghost town right now.
Hello and welcome to TriggerSmart. Yesterday we spent about 5 hours on a live stream going over the cartel war that's happening in Mexico. I have a few friends on the ground there and have an interview that I'll play from them, but the situation is not getting any better from what I can hear, but it's also not getting worse, so it's kind of in a standstill. The cartel's demands were pretty clear. They want Mencho's body, and they want whoever was responsible for killing him. But it seems there may already be a successor. My friend Brandy woke up to this in the morning. As you can see, it looks like a war zone. Imagine going on vacation to Puerto Vallarta or somewhere similar just to wake up in the morning to see that cars are getting bombed, the city is on fire, and people are blocking streets with vehicles. And not to mention gunfire and gunfights between the cartels and the military.
Buenos dias de Puerto Vallarta Vecinos. I wanted to give you guys an update of what's going on down here. So far, we are safe, hunkered down at home with all my kids. Our city is basically on fire. There was a lot going on with organized crime. There are buildings, gas stations, cars. You can check out some of my previous drone shots so you can see where we're at. It is very close to my house. There is smoke everywhere. It's almost like they made an entire circle of just fires around the city so nobody can get in or out.
This is a very important detail. People thought it was only Puerto Vallarta. It is not. It is multiple cities across Mexico. And even in Puerto Vallarta, like she's saying, it looks like there's hundreds of these fires across the city, which is buildings, vehicles, and apparently there were some airplanes as well at the airport. But check out this map. This is this map this morning. Yesterday, it was, and it just changed, it just updated. So this map yesterday was probably 2 to 3 times as many of these fires and vehicle incidents. This is on Mexico. Now you can see in the north, there aren't as many, but in that general area, central and southern Mexico, going down through all of this, there are still fires. There are still carjackings and things happening. There's still a lot of violence. So this is to show you this is not isolated to just Puerto Vallarta. And if we zoom in here, you can see this is Puerto Vallarta here. This happened initially in Jalisco, which is about 5 hours away. This is very, very widespread, and some people naturally are wondering if this is going to spread into the United States, because not only, obviously, is Mexico on our border, but the U.S. also provided intel for this operation, and that makes us a target.
It's 6:33 p.m. in Puerto Vallarta, Jalisco, February 22nd. I'm flying my drone over to the Costco. There were reports that it was burnt down. I did see a lot of flames earlier, so I wanted to fly over and see exactly what's left. Initially, I heard that they burnt down the gas station, but it looks like it's actually just a huge trailer near the gas stations that were burnt. I flew it down close to the gas stations. I didn't want to get too close because I don't know if there's people in there, and it looks like the gas stations are intact, which that was really good news because I'm actually really stressed about how accessible gas is going to be.
So keep in mind, this is just in this area where she is at. And remember, this is widespread across Mexico. But based on her specific location, it looks like it was mostly vehicles. It was trucks, cars, and a couple airplanes, and many, many vehicles spread out across the city where they were actually barricading streets and blocking roads and lighting vehicles on fire. There have been reports, apparently, hostages. I don't know if they're citizens. I don't know if they're tourists. And that's still developing. There have been reports from people on the ground who live there and have businesses there that there have been people pulled out of their vehicles and shot. They said several. So we're going to get to that video as well. So I just want to make sure that you understand that even though some of these videos are coming out of people like, oh, we're at a hotel, we're sipping martinis or we're drinking margaritas and we're good, doesn't mean everyone's good, okay? So if you're in that area, make sure you're still exercising caution. And going into flight radar here, we have no filters on. We're showing all airplanes in and out. Right now, I only see one airplane. I don't see anything getting ready to take off or land. I just see this one over here, and it is traveling. That's going towards, that's a Gulfstream V, so that's like a very high-level business jet. So based on the airport here, it looks like there have been a few landings this morning, one from Monterey and one from San Luis. So those were at 8:58 and 8:56. That was about 15 minutes ago at the recording of the time of this video, which is about 9 o'clock a.m. Central Time. So it looks like there are some flights still operating. Guadalajara International Airport, looks like there's flights going in and out. They've had multiple landings this morning from Mexico City, Fresno, Ciudad, and Tijuana. So they are still functioning. I know a lot of people were giving out reports saying that the airplanes were not flying. So as you can see here, we have several flights outgoing. They were going all throughout the night, all the way through this morning. So there's definitely some activity going on there. And of course, the U.S. Embassy and consulates in Mexico, they had the security alert that went out yesterday. And it says locations in the Jalisco state, including Puerto Vallarta, Chapala, and Guadalajara. This also includes some other areas which have also been shown to have cartel activity, including fires and shootouts. Events due to ongoing security operations and related road blockages and criminal activity, U.S. citizens in the named locations should shelter in place until further notice. And that's what most of them have been doing. Actions to take: avoid areas around law enforcement activity and police. Be aware of your surroundings. Seek shelter. Monitor local media for updates. Follow the directions of local authorities. Avoid crowds. And keep your family and friends advised of your location. And if you need to contact the consulate, there's the information there. Phone numbers and all that. Hopefully it's big enough for you to see it. And why did all this happen? What is going on? Well, Mexico announced the killing of CJNG cartel leader El Mencho in military operation. Mexican authorities confirmed Sunday that Nemesio Rubin Oseguera Cervantes, widely known as El Mencho, was killed during a military operation in Tapalpa, Jalisco. The Defense Department described the action as one of the most consequential strikes against organized crime in recent years. The bounty was $15 million. He's been identified as a central figure in fentanyl distribution, as well as many other drugs into the U.S. There are also allegations of human movement illegally. U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Christopher Landau reacted publicly, stating, "I've just been informed that Mexican security forces have killed El Mencho, one of the bloodiest and most ruthless drug kingpins." He added, "This is a great development for Mexico, the U.S., Latin America, and the world. The good guys are stronger than the bad guys." So clearly they're trying to send a message here. Now it's important to remember that when one goes down, usually multiple come in their place. And as we'll see, it already seems like someone has. In quick timeline, Mencho was born in 1966. He dropped out of school. He got involved in the marijuana trade. He immigrated illegally to the U.S. He settled in California and became involved in drug trafficking in California with initial brushes with criminality from his time in Mexico. So he's actually been arrested in the U.S. before he went back to Mexico. 1986, he was arrested in San Francisco for stolen property and a loaded firearm. 1992 to 1994, arrested again in the U.S. on heroin trafficking charges in Sacramento. He is convicted and serves approximately 3 years in prison before being deported to Mexico in 1996 or 1997, which allowed him to become one of the most powerful drug kingpins in the cartel. This is him here. Late 90s, he returned to Mexico. 2000s, he rose through the ranks of the Millennial Cartel. And before that, he was actually a police officer. So he spent time being a police officer first in Jalisco before he actually rose through the ranks of the cartels. 2009 to 2011, following the arrest of the key millennial leaders such as Oscar Orlando Nava Valencia in 2009, the cartel fractures. El Mencho co-founds the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, or the CJNG, from its remnants, emerging as its leader and rapidly expanding into operations into cocaine, methamphetamine, fentanyl trafficking, and other crimes like fuel theft and extortion. And as you can see here, they have a very, very wide-reaching influence all across Mexico. So everything in purple is where they already currently are, and the things that are in gray is no record. But obviously, if they're surrounding that completely, they're probably in that area as well, but it could also be other cartels keeping them out of that specific area. But just remember, this is since 2010. So we're talking 16 years of having all this power. 2010s to 2020s, under Mencho's leadership, CJNG becomes one of Mexico's most powerful and violent cartels, known for brazen attacks on security forces. So, right? So they're downing military helicopters. They're using drones and IEDs, advanced weaponry. They seem like a well-trained military unit, not like a typical cartel or gang. This is his official bounty, $15 million. In February of 2025, Mexico extradited his brother, a senior CJNG leader. And then, just as of yesterday, El Mencho was located during a Mexican military operation in Tapalpa, Jalisco, supported by U.S. intelligence. That's important because now that makes us a target too. He is wounded in a firefight, captured, and dies from gunshot wounds while being airlifted to Mexico City for medical treatment. The initial goal, according to them, was not to kill him. It was to capture him. But because of what happened during this operation, he got hit and he didn't survive his wounds. His death sparks widespread violence across western Mexico, including roadblocks, vehicle burnings, and clashes in cities like Guadalajara and Puerto Vallarta. So you can see, obviously, there's going to be a lot more imagery we're going to start covering right now.
No, ya se pararon. Aguanta. Ya. Chinga tu madre.
So that was an IED. So these are being planted to booby trap the military and the police by the cartels, apparently. And we're going to see a mix of daytime and nighttime because I pulled this stuff from when it happened starting yesterday all the way through last night. You can hear the gunfire, explosions. And I just want to point out, there's a lot of people on social media that are downplaying this, saying that nothing's going on, nothing to see here, don't worry about it. And there's military vehicles that were going through the city. They had trucks, they had tanks. As you can see here, there's an AMX-13 VCI. It's like a tank-like vehicle that's armored. And this here specifically is not the cartel. This is the Mexican army. And as you can see, they're in Aguas Calientes, Mexico. This is from yesterday. This is not in Puerto Vallarta. So like I was saying before, this is way more widespread than just that area. And next, I've seen this in multiple places, but it says without El Señor Mencho, apparently the new leader of the CJNG is Abraham Jesus Ambriz Cano. They call him El Yogurt. It's better not to ask why they call him that, but this is the video from that.
¿Cómo andas, Gabriel? Aquí andamos ir en Europa, no, oiga, ya aquí andamos encargados. Nomás para ver si va a estar con nosotros o no, porque está ayudando a los carteles unidos y pues le mandamos el mensaje que se acomode con nosotros o se acomode bien con ellos porque los vergazos van bien. Aquí estamos en los bancos, para que sepa nomás. Y no me escondo, para que vea.
So he's basically calling out these other people saying, are you with us or not? And be wary because there's a lot of fake videos out there, but this one right here, a lot of people saying that this is his son, but I've seen sources that this is an old video. And this keeps circulating saying that this is El Mencho's son. I can't verify that. If you can, put it down in the comments and send me a link or something so I can verify that for sure. And this is in Oelos, Jalisco. So clearly there's gunfire. People are saying there's nothing going on, right? Nothing to see here. They burnt some cars and we're just sitting here sipping margaritas in our hotel. Clearly that's not the case because this is several hours after everything started. This is overnight. As you can see here, this is the Mexican military and they are obviously supposed to be very well armed and very well trained. But we're starting to find out too that the cartel also is. They have lots of funds. There are rumors that they've been trained by other nation states in military tactics and they also have the gear. And sources say that this is Black Hawks from the military, the Mexican military, as well as the Marines. This is an OXXO, Zapopan, Jalisco. This is in a store. So clearly they are attacking stores. There's also been word from people who live there that they have been attacking food stores, water, and gas stations and places like that. So they're basically starving people out. Initial reports were that after 5 p.m. yesterday, Central Time, that they were going to start attacking hotels and houses and businesses and things like that. But typically, what I hear from most people and people that are there now is that the cartels typically don't mess with tourists. because they need that income to feed the economy. Because a lot of these cartels own the hotels and things, so they're making money off of it. And this is an official statement from Caroline Levitt. The United States provided intelligence support to the Mexican government in order to assist with an operation in Tapalpa, Jalisco, Mexico, in which Nemesio El Mencho Asegura Cervantes, an infamous drug lord and leader within the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, was eliminated. El Mencho was a top target for the Mexican and United States government as one of the top traffickers of fentanyl into our homeland. Last year, President Trump rightfully designated the Jalisco New Generation Cartel as a foreign terrorist organization because that's exactly what it is. In this operation, 3 additional cartel members were killed, 3 were wounded, and 2 were arrested. I've heard that there were 7 that died. President Trump has been very clear the United States will ensure narco-terrorists sending deadly drugs to our homeland are forced to face the wrath of justice they have long deserved. The Trump administration also commends and thanks the Mexican military for their cooperation and successful execution of this operation. And Claudia Sheinbaum said, the Secretariat of National Defense reported on the operation carried out this morning by federal forces, which resulted in various blockades and other reactions. There is absolute coordination with the governments of all states. We must remain informed and calm. The social media accounts of the Security Cabinet provide permanent updates. In the vast majority of the national territory, activities are proceeding with complete normality. My recognition to the Mexican Army, National Guard, Armed Forces, and Security Cabinet. We work every day for peace, security, justice, and the well-being of Mexico. Now, not everyone is happy with her. This is footage here resurfacing of a Mexican senator blowing the whistle, saying that allegedly President Sheinbaum is owned by the cartels. They say there's a deal and funds to make sure the cartels are protected.
President of Mexico is furious. She's calling Mexican Senator Lily Tellez a traitor for coming on Fox Noticias with me a few days ago and saying this. Listen.
The help from the United States to fight the cartels in Mexico is absolutely welcome, and that is how the majority of Mexicans feel. The only ones who don't like that President Trump is sending help and trying to support Mexicans against the cartels are the narco politicians. That includes President Sheinbaum.
Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum responding, saying, quote, it's not a minor issue that a senator gave an interview to a foreign media outlet calling for intervention. Here to discuss is that Mexican Senator Lily Tellez. Senator Tellez, welcome to Fox Noticias. I'm just going to get right to it. Is Mexico a narco state?
Yes, it is.
So this senator agrees that Mexico is a narco state, the same that Trump is saying there's an issue and a problem. And obviously, this woman here has an issue with the president, and it doesn't sound like she's the only one. And from World Source News, significant clashes are occurring in the town of Zacapu, Michoacan, Mexico, between the CJNG and Mexican military. CJNG armored vehicles have been observed moving through the area. If I butchered those names, I apologize. Now, does this sound like everything's under control and calm to you? And there's reports that the Mexican National Guard is conducting checks on vehicles due to the ongoing cartel violence, as you can imagine. So they're pulling people over, and they're checking them to make sure they don't have any ties to the cartel or any weapons they shouldn't have and that kind of thing. And I think that's probably validated in this case. But I bet getting pulled over like this definitely gets your heart rate up. I'm not going to show this whole video, but there's cartels that are executing other cartel members, apparently, or from rival gangs. And they said they're using American weapons. I think this is just propaganda, specifically about the American weapons part. But you have this person here. This is all blurred out. We're not showing any gore. But there's this person here tied to a tree. And this gentleman here, he basically hits him with a flamethrower. I've heard reports last night from people in the chat during the live stream that they're putting gasoline on people and lighting them on fire. And this says a CJNG ambush in Jamaica killed 2 Mexican National Guard members and wounded others. You can see the truck here. Now, I'm not going to show, obviously, the gore and the blood, but there's an officer on the other side that is deceased. And you can see there's bullet holes and things in the vehicle. A lot of these vehicles that I've seen so far seem to be bulletproof, including the cartels. But obviously, after a couple of hits, it's going to go through, and it's definitely going to go through the doors and things because it's just that thin metal. This is in Guadalajara, and this is where people are running from a market because there's armed and hooded people. If you don't know who this gentleman is, he's done a couple great reports on the ground, and he's also a very highly decorated investigator and journalist. This is Oscar Ramirez. He also goes by Oscar Blue, I believe, in some circles. He's with Real America's Voice. Let's listen to what he has to say.
Good evening to all. How's everybody doing? Thank you so much for joining in. An update, as I promised that I was going to come in and give you guys an update. We apologize if we had to do it on the car and not on the ground. It is completely right now unsafe, as we were working together, a group of journalists, and when you're working together you feel more safer, but due to the circumstance of the level of violence and insecurity, we are safeguarding ourselves right now in the automobile, in the car. So the level of incidents have increased into 18 until now in the whole state. Incidents. Why the government of Mexico, it is in the state of Baja, it is categorizing them as incidents. It is categorizing them as incidents because they're not only burning automobiles, they are burning also businesses. Now, the most aggravating thing about this is there's a social media threat right now. It can be fake news. We cannot confirm that is if it is a real post or if it is a fake post. What I can tell you it is that businesses, they're closing at 6 o'clock in the evening. A lot of businesses are closed, and a lot of businesses are just, all of them, they're closing early because of the level of increase of violence, the threats that they have been receiving lately, and momentarily as this has been going on.
So as you can see, he's there on the ground, and he is saying that the violence is increasing, and that was in the evening yesterday. So we still don't have a lot of reports of what happened last night. I'm still waiting to see some of that stuff, and if anything happens today, if anything major happens, I'm going to go live again today. But as of right now, there's not a lot coming out. But people like him are on the ground, and they're giving very important information. So make sure you guys go check him out and follow as well.
To eliminate a leader of this magnitude, that it was terrorizing a whole country by a greater significance. This guy was an extreme terrorist, and now that he is not in the face of the earth, we will see how the Mexican government from here moves forward with the pressure of the American government, which I have said this before in the past broadcasts. There is a collaboration not too long ago, 19 of these officials from special forces that were led into Mexico to basically on a mission. We do not know what kind of mission. Possibly they were led in on this mission, and possibly they were the ones that they executed the mission.
Based on what he's saying and some of the other reports that I've been reading as well, there are rumors that, a lot of people said initially it was the Mexican military that did this. There's allegations that it was special forces from the U.S. that did this. And he just said, they said that like 19 people got let in that were part of this that may have been involved. Are you able to hear us?
Yeah, can you hear us?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, that's much better.
Cool.
All right. So I've been telling people that you guys are out there and you went to a little get together for YouTubers and that kind of stuff, and you're kind of stuck in the crosshairs. So what are you guys seeing right now? What's actually happening out there?
Check it out. So back here, you can see there's still smoke. There's there's car bombing. The cartel, at least what they're telling us, has been bombing these cars in order to, keep the police and military from being able to assimilate from what's going on.
That's insane. So everything I've heard so far is that obviously the leader was killed or taken or whatever happened. They want his body.
Yeah.
Well, they want his body, and they want whoever's responsible for his death, or they said they're going to go start attacking like hotels and homes and that kind of stuff. So have you heard anything that has actually started? Because I know they said at 5 p.m. was kind of their deadline.
Yep, and it's been over an hour since that happened.
Now,
Yep.
someone's saying, do you guys personally feel like you're there right now? Do you feel like this is a false flag?
I think so. Yeah, I do think it's a false flag. I mean, when this all broke out, we were just checking out of our hotel and people were telling us basically that there's bombings going on and
which there was, like literally woke up, saw all of the smoke everywhere. I started crying. I was like freaking out, to be honest with you. But
that's this here, right? This is outside your...
That's literally, where we're at. I'll give you another
there were
little
so
look.
many different fires around us, earlier today.
If you can see, there's smoke over there, but there was definitely car bombings. I mean, bombing everywhere. We haven't legitimized the actual amount of people who have died, but we don't believe that this is, at least I don't believe that this is the cartels just causing chaos and coming to kill everybody because, I fully believe that they want Sheinbaum, Claudia Sheinbaum, the president, which, they...
Now, for anyone that's watching, this is Brandy from the Brandy and Billy Show and Jake from Jake GTV, and they are on site in Puerto Vallarta. We're not going to say which hotel or any of that kind of stuff because we don't want to give away their location to the cartels. But they are there right now, and off of their balcony, they can see the smoke and stuff from the vehicles. Now, this is from yesterday. This was yesterday morning, and Brandy woke up to smoke outside, and then her and some other YouTubers that are still there at the hotel, obviously they paired up. They got to take care of each other, so now they are still there. I reached out to her this morning to see if they're doing okay, so if I hear anything from them, I'll report on that today as well. But basically, their account was... they could confirm everything that was said so far. They heard explosions. There were car bombs. There were fires everywhere. There was a video that I showed earlier that showed from their balcony where you could see the smoke all across the horizon from all the different car fires. So this is a real situation. And some people will say, well, you're not there. You're just making this stuff up. Well, they're there and they can confirm this stuff. And like the woman said earlier, there were gas stations that were supposedly on fire and they were blowing them up and things like that. This shows them kind of messing with it. I don't see them actually light it on fire here or anything like that, but they're definitely trying to cause as much chaos as possible everywhere. And just muted because there's music in this one. So there they are there. Telling people to leave. They did not fire. And now they're messing with the gas pumps, spraying gasoline. There were reports, like I said, that people were getting sprayed by gasoline and lit on fire. So there you go. So whether or not the gas stations actually blew up or not, no, that depends on the situation. But it looks like they're trying. And this is a look deep in the thick of it where the car bombs and stuff were. And this was all across the horizon. It's as far as you can see in every direction. And it's in multiple cities. So a lot of people will say, well, so what? They're burning vehicles. They're not hurting people directly. Yes, they are. So there are reports that there is some hostages. I haven't confirmed any of them, but I've heard multiple of them now. And there's reports that people are getting pulled out of their vehicles and shot. So is it everyone? Clearly not. But this is happening, and this is across multiple areas of Mexico. And this is the kind of weaponry they have access to, including helicopters and tanks and armored vehicles. So who trained them? Who provided these weapons? Where they get these weapons from? And this one goes out to Faytux News. This is apparently El Mencho's body. Now remember, the cartels wanted his body back. So this is supposedly the National Guard coming in with El Mencho's body. The interesting thing about this is there's two sides. Cartel wants his body, and the Mexican officials want the body. Mexican officials have to test the DNA and make sure it's El Mencho. They have to 100% verify before they can release the body. The cartel wants the body as part of their terms of agreement to stop terrorizing these cities. So I would assume he's in that vehicle. As you can see, it's quite the procession, and they're just trying to get his body back. And I had to mute it because there's some copywritten music in it. But there's shootouts all over the place, it sounds like, and I've seen multiple videos of it. And here's a few videos and images of the smoke from the fires of all the vehicles across the horizon. And you can see just how widespread this is. And again, this is just Puerto Vallarta. There's multiple cities like this all across Mexico.
Tina said they...
And look at how thick the smoke is on this one. This is from multiple fires. This is the Mexican military. Some say it's the Marines. There were areas like this that got hit a lot harder. As you can see, it's more widespread than a lot of people are letting off, but I just want to give a truthful, honest report of the kind of stuff that people are seeing in the videos that are out there. We're going to wrap up with one last video, and this is the guy's take. He lives there, he has a bar there, and he's a very well-known person in Puerto Vallarta. He's going to give his report from last night, and there's a few things that I'll talk about afterwards, but let's listen to him. This is apparently Max Egan, if I have his name correct, and he is on the ground there, and he has a restaurant and a bar, or at least a bar, from what I've heard, and he's giving his take.
Well, it's 8 o'clock now, folks, and it seems actually to be pretty calm all around the general area. There's a few lights on around the place, so they might even, who knows, maybe, I don't think it's a restaurant, I think it's just a residence, family there. It's the people that I'm staying with. Well, they're just staying next door, they're in the same building as us. Everything looks kind of calm at the moment. Looks pretty good. A few people out here cruising around. No shops open, of course. Nothing's open. Look out, here comes a motorbike, which is always a problem. You cannot trust people on motorbikes because many of them are cartel. They tend to arrive on motorbikes and do their damage, and as I showed you, I think on a video, or I posted somewhere, they've been driving around on motorbikes and throwing out three-corner spiked jacks all over the street.
You see that there? So they're throwing out things to pop tires. For the people that are saying that this is not attacking civilians and it's not attacking the tourists and that kind of stuff, this is counter to that. So they're riding around on motorcycles and they're throwing spikes on the street to pop tires so people can't leave.
So that people can't drive, can't leave the area. So, like, even if I wanted to go and hang out with Jeff at the moment, Jeff's sort of sheltering way over there. He's like way over the other side over there near the marinas. And I'm up in Centro, so... Well, we can't even drive over there. Even if I wanted to go and shelter at Jeff's place with some company, I can't because we don't know that we would make it. They're actually pulling people out of cars, I've heard, and several people have actually been shot.
Now, that's that report that I was telling you about before. Everyone's saying it's calm, there's nothing going on, nothing to worry about. We're just sitting in our hotels, everything's safe and good to go. This is a local, and he's saying that there's been reports that people are being pulled out of vehicles and shot. He said several.
Apparently, I can't confirm it, but I was told that a couple of the speakers were actually in a taxi, and the taxi got pulled over and the taxi driver got shot. I don't know how true that is. I mean, you're hearing all sorts of reports. There have been fake videos going out as well. There was a fake video, or there was video of a plane on fire at Guadalajara airport, and that appears to have been faked, AI or something like that. But things have sort of calmed down a fair bit out here tonight, folks, so that's a good thing. But yeah, I will bring you another report as more information comes to hand.
Now remember, he's saying it's calm here where he's at. We saw videos at night of other places where there's shootouts and explosions.
I mean, hopefully this will be over pretty quickly, but I don't know. The real problem is that they've torched all of the food stores. They've torched all the food stores, all the supermarkets, all the OXXOs. So, and apparently a few banks have been hit as well. So
not only can they not get to their money, they can't drive around because they've either taken out the cars, blocked the passageways with flaming vehicles and things that they blew up previously yesterday, and or he's saying they are directly attacking the food sources. So they're getting rid of these grocery stores and Costco's and things like that. And I've seen multiple videos of that happening. So if that's the case, you have a situation where you're going to have a bunch of people, they're going to run out of food, they're going to run out of water. So depending on how long this goes, depending on how long this siege is, you're going to have people that are going to have to fight to survive here shortly. So this could be a very bad situation. I hope it doesn't get to that point, but that's definitely a possibility.
There's no way anyone can get cash. There's no way anyone can go and buy food because the food stores have been destroyed. So the problem's going to be in about 3 or 4 days from now when people start running out of food. That's when it's going to become very unsafe, and you're going to have locals turning on anyone who looks like they've got anything of value. And that's when things get really dangerous. So hopefully we'll be out of here before then. Hopefully there will be some sort of a game plan. We can find some way of getting out of here. The airport's closed. Hopefully some of the roads will be open within the next day or so, and we might be able to leave this area, which would be a good thing to do, I think.
Now, he goes on to talk a little bit more about what's going on, but the general idea is that he's saying that there's reports people are being pulled out of their vehicles and killed. There's reports that they're trying to block more stuff off. They're throwing out these spikes to pop tires so people can't drive anywhere. They're destroying the food stores, the grocery markets, and that kind of stuff in the banks. But he's saying that there's nothing to worry about here. Business as usual, right? So just be really careful. Make sure you keep your head on a swivel and make sure you're taking this seriously until it's over. Long story short, it's still a developing situation. It's still dangerous for anyone that's there, and we need to keep our eyes peeled. This is something that could change on the drop of a hat. If you're in the area, make sure you take it seriously. Make sure you're prepping. Make sure you have food and water, and make sure you have a way to hopefully get out of there if you can as soon as possible. This could resolve today. This might not resolve for weeks. If any new developments come out, I will probably go live and cover it. And as always, if you want to support the channel, there's links down in the description. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this around. I'll see you on the next one.